Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Golden Gloves Chat Show. As you can see with me is Ryno Liebenberg.
What's up,
the Lion. Welcome, Ryno Liebenberg. It's been a couple of years since we've chatted. We've done so many things over the years with the boxing interviews. You've been one of the best guys to interview, I must say. Nicknamed the Lion, and you've lived up to that. The king of the jungle is the Lion, and you've really been the king in the ring. You've put it all on the line, and we've enjoyed your career. You told me when I first met you, you're originally from Krugersdorp, that you like a good roll.
Yes.
And I thought, yes, what a lekker, proper South African slang word. And I called you the Krugersdorp roller at all our press conferences and you've just lived up to it. Ryno, you've given so many people such great entertainment over the years. And, the blood, guts, glory is what Ryno Liebenberg was all about. You came and you put it on the line. And before I even talk to you about your professional career, firstly, well done on putting it on the line so many times from a pro. We're going to talk about, I want you to tell us all your stories because you're such a good storyteller. I said to you off air, I think you're one of the best storytellers of any ex-fighter. Tell me, Ryno, where did it start for you? Do you come from a boxing family?
Yes. So my father was quite a decent amateur, well, that's what he says. And when I go back to my...
Don't you believe him?
No, I do to an extent. They're always better than they say they are.
Okay.
So when I go back to the boxing gym where I come from, Krugersdorp West Boxing Ground, so there's pictures of him up there. And the guy that trained me, Frikkie Gous, was actually one of my father's friends, and they trained together. So I know in the boxing community on Krugersdorp side, he was a very good amateur. I don't know if he was one of the best, but he was decent. Up until, I think those days, they went to the army and he stopped boxing. Yes, and then I was always good at sport. I did everything competitively. Some of it very good. I played rugby. And then when I went to standard 6 or grade 8, I weighed 37 kilograms. So now you're full of bravado, and then you get to lighties, then they weigh 80, 90. It's a massive jump. And I wasn't scared of anybody, but now you can't play rugby like you're supposed to, or how you used to back in the law school. So I told my father, listen, it's time. I want to go to the boxing gym. You always said, you're going to go, take me, so I want to go. And I went to the boxing gym. I'll never forget it. First night we're there, so now we're checking out. First time I'm in the boxing gym, seeing what's going on. And the cadets, that's what they called them back in the day, they were sparring. And my father said, okay, this is Ryno, this is the coach. You want to train? He said, well, the guys are sparring. I said, okay. And he said, get gloves. And there's like a kamertjie there in the back. You go and fetch your gloves there. They put the gloves on, and I said, what nice? He says, well, now, when you get in that ring, you fight. I said, like, what? He says, anything but you fight. And I got in the ring and I fought, and I loved it.
And you loved it?
I loved it. I'm like, I just want to do this.
Well, it showed in your career how you loved it.
And that's how it started.
So that's how it started for you. Okay, great. So you've got an amateur background. 2010, you decided to become a professional boxer.
Yes.
What were you weighing then?
So I weighed about 104.
104?
Yes. So I was boxing, and then I went on the juice and hit the gym and get duck. Okay. And then I was boxing again, and then on the juice. And then I heard about Gerstrydom's gym from one of my friends. And I thought, okay, let me go and check this out. There wasn't any pro boxing gyms on the West Rand.
Yeah.
And that was in Newlands. And I went there, and I told him who I was, and I told him my amateur background. And he said, well, listen, you want to box? Come. We train at 4 o'clock in the afternoons. I said, okay, let me speak to my family because we're in a family business. I can take my lunch hour at 4 and then I can start the training. And that's where it started.
So what is it like for you getting into a professional boxing ring? Because just so the viewers know, and I commentated probably most of your fights, you looked like you loved it. You were like in your happy place.
Yes.
And like you said, when you started rolling or started boxing, you just loved it. So when you became a professional boxer the first time in 2010, what did it feel like to you getting into that boxing?
So the first fight, I stood under those lights and Gert rubbed me on the chest. And I'm like, in and out of it, I'm going to pass out. I'm like, God, please don't.
Were you nervous?
Yes. And then you
think, even though you're a very confident guy, you were nervous.
Of course. And then you think, just the first punch, jab and run.
Yeah.
I never wanted to get knocked out the first punch. Because it happens. And that was my fear through my entire boxing career.
To not get knocked out.
The first punch.
Yes.
Just you walk in and I bombs you, boo, and you're dead.
Yeah.
That was my biggest fear. And then you get into the ring, and after the first jab, everything comes together. Everything that you trained and know.
Hard work.
Yes, it comes together, and then you go to the corner. And now it's the first time in the corner as a professional, and drink water and Vaseline and this, listen to what he says, and then everything comes together, and I won by knockout. Easy fight.
Yes, okay. So you knocked the guy out instead of getting knocked out like you were wary of. So 16 fights undefeated in 4 years. I mean, you were cooking. You were really doing brilliant. 2012, 2013, you beat Johnny Miller twice for the IBL All-Africa title.
Yeah.
Are you still mates with Johnny Miller?
Oh, yeah, we're very good mates.
Both from the West End, good boys.
Both from the West End. Johnny's a good guy.
Good guy, yes.
Like I always told my friends and family, we're opponents in the rings, but we're not enemies. So we don't despise it, but in the ring, we want to kill each other. But when we get out, we're friends. So I'll tell you a story about Johnny Miller.
Okay.
So the first fight, the second fight with Johnny Miller. We heard about him having a fight outside the ring against some lighties at a school or at a cafe close to a school. Because now when you're a boxer, everybody wants to fight you. Oh, I'll move that guy. And they want full of bravado, and until it happens and they get the ass handed to them.
And they realize we can fight.
Yes. And then Johnny fought this guy, and we found out about it, and there was a video on Facebook. So me and my brother-in-law, Neil, he's my go-to guy in boxing. We come up with a plan.
Your partner in the business as well?
Yes. Neil phones Johnny and says, listen, I'm a police, I'm constable or a detective. You must come to the police station. There's a case opened against you. The day of the weigh-in. So we knew the weigh-in was Friday.
Yeah.
So we phoned him Thursday afternoon. He says, I can't come at 12 o'clock. I need to go to the weigh-in. Okay, but then you come before then, 10 o'clock. So we go to the weigh-in. Johnny rocks up there a little bit late, and you can see he's stressed, but we laugh it off. We think it's funny. After the weigh-in, we phone him again. Listen, you need to come to the police station again. He says, but I was there. Yeah, but now you need to see this guy.
Yeah.
So we messed with his head. Yeah, and then the fight came, and I won the fight. And I never told Johnny.
Yeah.
And then the other day I thought, let me write a Facebook.
Does he know about it now?
I think so,
yeah. Johnny Miller, good kid. Yeah, so you beat Johnny Miller twice, 2012, 2013, for the IBL All-Africa Light Heavyweight title. And then 2014, you beat Dennis Grachev for the WBC Silver Light Heavyweight title.
Yeah.
Then you went to Monte Carlo. So that 16-0, you were looking at like the kid that's going to fight for a world title and win a world title. And then they put you with Canelo Alvarez, who ended up becoming WBO champion.
Yes.
Brilliant fighter. He knocked out Sergey Kovalev, who was a legend. He knocked Kovalev out for the WBO.
Yes.
So was it bad timing that you fought him at that stage?
Yes. If I look back at it now, at my boxing career, I turned pro at 27. So I was already old.
Late.
That's late in boxing.
Yeah.
23, 24, you need to make your moves. 25, you should be there. And then you start building it up, championships. So we rushed. I wouldn't say we rushed it, but we ran into it. And then I ran into Canelo Alvarez. He was a proper Pan-American amateur. He grew up the real deal in boxing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to fight the world. And then I walked into this oak, and everything from my side, from my coach, from everything was perfect. On the night, everything fell apart. He had an answer for everything that I had in the ring.
Was he just too good for you on the night? You were obviously well prepared for every fight.
He was just better than me on the night. And he had an answer for everything that I tried.
Yeah.
And eventually he hit me 1-2 and my face burst open. And that's all she wrote. I got 17 stitches.
All she wrote. And obviously, sadly, that was your stepping stone to the world title.
Yes.
Or the next level.
Well, he went on. He beat Sergey Kovalev. He beat Lucien Bouta. He beat Jean Pascal. So he beat multiple world champions after that. And I think his career has also come to an end now. But he was an elite level fighter. So I didn't just lose to anybody.
Not at all. I mean, he stopped Kovalev in 7 rounds, and he stopped you in 7 rounds. So, I mean,
he can fight.
Yeah, he's a really good fighter. And then in South Africa, you fought one of the South African legends in 2015, Tommy Gunn Oosthuizen. And I remember you at I think it was at Supersport or somewhere, at the weigh-in or one of the press conferences. You still pushed Tommy.
Yes.
And everybody was scared of Tommy Oosthuizen, except you.
Yes.
So, and people still said, yes, he's not scared of Tommy Oosthuizen. Tell us about, you remember
So me and Tommy we were in the amateur team, I think, together in 2007. We went to nationals and national trials in Bloemfontein. So we knew each other.
Yes.
And I knew they turned pro. I started gymming again. Now, I wasn't scared of Tommy. You know, Tommy can box, but he can't eat.
Yeah.
I don't care what he does. Johnny eats much harder, but Tommy lands cleaner.
Yes.
Probably the most talented guy I've ever shared the ring with. He had everything. He had a boxing brain that in my 30 plus fights I never encountered again. He just knew what to do.
Smart, yeah.
And he did it so comfortably. And his biggest asset in the ring is how uncomfortable he makes you feel. And that was his asset. You know, I landed clean on him on round 2 or 3. And that's another thing. Yeah, Tommy had a chin.
Yep.
Yes, I hit him clean. Boom! And I thought, this is it. And he shook it off and boxed. Now he can box.
So, and obviously not a disgrace to lose to Tommy Oosthuizen.
No, not at all.
So now you'd lost to two absolute legends. And then you took a couple of fights internationally against Kulung and Skogland. And I thought some of those decisions were very suspect.
I can tell you, Eric Skogland I beat.
Yes.
I blitzed him from pillar to post. In the fight, he was bleeding everywhere. His corner looked at the ref. Then the ref looked to the promoter and then they go, no. And the ref says, no, box.
Yeah.
I think the guy that was in his corner was also a world champion. That short guy, you know him. I think it was the IBF world. He trained Mickey Nielsen. Well, I don't know, I can't remember his name. But he was in the corner with him. He knows you. Excuse me?
You're not talking about Joey Gamache?
I think the retrained Willie, the guy that beat Johnny in the Super 4. It was short. He had boxing shoes with big soles.
Okay, I think it was Joey Gamache.
Yes, that was the guy that trained him. Okay. And he came to us after the fight. He said, listen here, you didn't lose this fight.
Yeah.
Then I fought Enrico Cooling.
Also, yeah.
I threw 1,000, I've got the picture on my phone. I threw 1,100 punches. I landed 359 punches on him. He threw 303 punches. He landed 113 and I lost.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and then
it was really bad decisions. I remember those fights clearly.
And it gets to you after a while. People, and now later in my life, I think it was actually irritating. And you don't know how much it affects you. And it affects you in training. Because now you don't want to train so hard because they're just going to rob me again. Or what's the story? So, yeah.
Did you to a degree take those fights for the money, or did you not need them?
No.
Obviously, the money was good.
I've never needed money in boxing. We've got a good business. I've got a very good family behind me. So money has never been a thing in boxing for me. Right at the end, maybe I made a few bucks, but then I still wanted to fight and beat the guys.
Yes, of course.
And then Cooling came to South Africa. And I was full of bravado. I'm going to beat this guy. Instead of boxing him, I went toe to toe with him to show him I'm the stronger guy in the ring. And I wasn't. And he beat me. Yeah. Fair and square, he beat me in South Africa.
So if you had a box, you would have beaten him?
Yeah, like the first time. I beat him quite easily, but then I lost. And then I came to... But also there were stories. I got ill 2 weeks before the fight, and then they gave me medication and I drank it wrong, and then I was 2 weeks on antibiotics, and I remember my wife still telling me, don't you read the boxes? I'm like, oh no.
Does a good boxer beat a good fighter?
Yes.
I know you were a complete fighter because you like to roll, like you call it, and to fight, which I enjoyed. You're a come-forward fighter, entertaining. But you could also box.
You need to be 2 levels above a good boxer if you're a fighter. So if you're on the same level, a boxer is going to beat a fighter. But if a fighter is 2 levels, I would say 2 levels above a good boxer, you can beat.
So you got to be a Roberto Duran, otherwise you're not beating.
You're non-stop.
Otherwise you're not beating a good boxer.
Because look what happened, Roberto Duran to
the second fight, with Riley in it. Yeah, no, I always say to my guys that a good boxer beats a good fighter. And the nice thing about you was you were a complete package. You used to love to fight.
Yes.
And pick up the cuts and all that. I don't know who cut more out of you and I think we couple on the toast there. And then you could box as well, which was nice. So you made a complete fight of it. 2019, your draw to Nick Hannig. He's 7-0. They're obviously protecting the flipping guy.
And I beat that guy.
You won nearly every round and you get a draw.
And then I got a draw.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah. And then the promoter gets in the ring. He says, a draw, it's not so bad. I mean, what do you mean a draw?
Yeah, it's not
they haven't even read the scores. And then I get a draw. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that makes me so angry when I see bad decisions in boxing because it's, such a tough sport as it is.
So you leave everything in the ring.
And you can't come second. You have to win.
You win or you lose.
You win or you lose. And if it's a draw, it's a draw. But like you said, that wasn't a draw.
Yeah, but a draw is like a loss. It's the same.
Unless you're the champion, you retain your title. But you just want a fair decision.
Yes,
that's all.
fair.
And it's so unfair when guys like you go overseas and get bad decisions. Okay, so that's another fight that you should have won. Could have taken you to a world title. That is for the WBC International Light Heavyweight title. And then 2021, Rowan Campbell. I remember us sitting exactly in this position, like 3 years ago. And I said to you, Ryno, can you beat this youngster? He's a puncher. He's up and coming. And you said to me exactly like as you said, Brian, there's levels in boxing.
Yes.
He says, I'm at this level and Rowan Campbell's at this level.
Yes.
And you proved you were 100% right.
So the big thing with Rowan Campbell is that they fought sparring and boxing is the same. The same thing happened with Alfonso Thyssen. Yes. So we were sparring partners and we had war in sparring, but I treat sparring as sparring. Nobody wins sparring. You can't win sparring.
You're not trying to knock out your sparring partner generally.
And you focus on what you want to work on, uppercuts, hooks, leads, whatever. You get a game plan and you try and implement the game plan in the sparring. And I think me and Rowan sparred once or twice maybe before the fight. And then Rowan went on, he beat Patrick Mukala. When I fought Patrick, Patrick was tough and strong. And I hit him with everything. And I caught him, I buckled him 4 or 5 times. And I couldn't get him out. I just couldn't. And I'm like, is this out strong? And I hit him. And maybe if I had 12 rounds, I could have eventually. And then Rowan came. And he knocked him out in 4 rounds. I'm like, I would have lost my house that night because I would have bet my house if I was a betting guy on
But it's also styles make fights, isn't it?
Yes.
So you also had the style to upset anybody. And like you say, sparring is not the fight game. A lot of the young trainers come to us today as Golden Gloves and they say, we've got this good fighter. We've seen him in sparring. But sparring is not in the ring. Getting in the ring is a whole different world.
Yeah, so when I fought Rowan, it was still COVID, so there wasn't an audience. So after the second round, or from the second round, every time I hit him, I could hear him like, I'm like, oh no, I got this, I've got him. Because there's no hiding, you can't hear, it's me, him and him.
Yes.
We're in there and I can hear my punches are having a massive effect on him. And he goes, And then then it's comfortable. Then you do what you want to do.
Yeah. And the fight game, there is no place to hide. I mean, that's why it's got to be the toughest sport in the world.
Yes.
Because you really have got no place to hide. I mean, Drickus du Plessis is a friend of mine now too, and we chatted about boxing compared to MMA. And he says boxing's a hard part of the sport.
Yes.
Because when you're getting hit, there's nowhere to go. You can still grapple in MMA and you can kick.
The big thing with MMA guys and boxing guys, and I get asked this a lot, why we don't like each other. So I'm friends with lots of MMA guys, but generally boxers don't like MMA. Must I tell you why?
Yes.
MMA guys come to boxing gyms for stand-up sparring.
Yes.
Then we blacksome them. Because now there's like one
to come to our
gym and then we murder them. But we never go to their gym to wrestle.
Yes.
So it's always us telling them, no, we murder you, you're a baby, you're a girl. And then that's why we hate each other.
But I suppose they would say like Mayweather against Conor McGregor, for example.
If he grabs you.
Yeah, what if they fought in the cage?
Well, we don't go there.
But we don't go to the cage.
Exactly. We don't go there.
I mean, Conor McGregor challenged Mayweather and got his biggest payday. But yeah, it's a tough sport. Well done to Drickus. He did a fantastic job carrying the flag for South Africa.
Yes.
But yeah, so my point is, he was even saying to me that boxing is such a hard part of the sport. So it's a very tough sport. And I mean, you entertained us and you got to the highest
I
level.
enjoyed boxing. I did boxing because I enjoyed it. I didn't do it for the money or the fame I enjoyed it. So I think because it entertained me.
Yeah.
I didn't mind getting murdered or murdering someone. It didn't matter.
Well, you did a lot more murdering than getting murdered.
Yes, I think so.
Your face looked like you were getting murdered, but that doesn't matter. You were still winning.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't.
So you finished off with 2 losses, but a great career. And as I said, it was a pleasure working with you all these years. An honor, actually. The Lion, Ryno Liebenberg, did brilliant. Your best fighter ever, Ryno?
Ever.
Have you got one?
So in South Africa, it's you.
Oh, thank you.
I just
Your
don't
check's
see.
in the post.
I just don't see anybody. There's guys that come close, and there might be a top 5, but at the end of the day, if you look at it, it's you. You know, the wheel was 100 years back. I've never seen him fight, so I can't comment on somebody that I've never seen fight. But if you look at you, Tungonto Bella, Haki Butler, that's the cream of the crop. And yes, I would say in South Africa, my favorite fighter ever, Mike Tyson.
Thank you.
Mike Tyson, internationally.
You like Iron Mike Tyson?
By far.
Ferocious.
1985, Mike Tyson, no one beats. Never.
Yeah.
No, I don't care what they say.
I think the most famous boxer ever would probably be Muhammad Ali because
he said so.
Because he said he was the greatest ever. But Mike Tyson's probably the best known fighter ever and the most ferocious heavyweight. As a youngster from 20 to 23.
No, he murdered the guys. He didn't play.
Did you like guys like Sugar Ray Leonard?
So I was more a Roberto Duran fan.
Yeah, you're a fighter.
Yeah, Triple G more than that. Yeah, so I like fighters. I like entertainment.
Yes.
You know, if you look, Floyd Mayweather beat Manny Pacquiao, but if you on the day you need to choose a guy to watch, I would watch Manny Pacquiao.
The exciting guys, Manny Pacquiao.
No, the first boxing fight I ever watched was your fight against Tony Lopez. I think it was on TV1. Was it back in the day, TV1?
It was in Supersport probably.
No, I don't think it was Supersport back then. Oh, maybe I was wrong.
Yeah, it was Supersport.
Oh, is it? Well, it was long. But that's the first boxing fight I ever watched. Was your fight against the Tiger? What was his name?
Tony the Tiger Lopez.
And that's what got me into boxing.
Thanks, Ryno. Okay, so now let's talk the other good news, other than your great career, is that you're staying in boxing as a manager and trainer. We're very excited to know that you're staying in boxing and you're giving back to the sport. You've got a youngster called Clifford Lowe that you're working with. Tell us about Clifford Lowe and tell us about your new venture into boxing. So, are you going to be a manager and trainer?
A trainer is very hard. It's not easy if you were a fighter to be a trainer. Well, maybe for other people, but for myself, I find it very hard because you expect certain things from people and what you know works. And then they should do it. And when they don't do it, you get frustrated.
Yes,
it's like with Clifford. He doesn't listen, and then we spar.
And you spar him?
Yeah, just now and then. But not. So Clifford's a very, very talented boxer. Like my father says, Clifford's got all the moves.
Okay.
All the skill, everything. Now we just need to get him to put everything in the ring. And I think he can be a champion.
Does he have the Ryno Liebenberg ticker?
I don't know. That we're going to find out on the night.
Yeah, of course. You'll know as he goes through. Okay, great. So he's fighting on the 5th of April on the Golden Glove Show in Powerhouse.
Yes.
So it's going to be nice to see you back. Are you going to be in the corner as the trainer that night?
Yeah, I'm registered as a trainer as well. So I'm going to get somebody to help me, maybe Shannon or Gap and my brother-in-law Neil. We'll see how we play it out. But yeah, I'm going to be in the corner. And then Clifford's lucky. You know, he gets his first fight on the biggest stage in South Africa. You want to be a superstar in South Africa, you need to go through Golden Gloves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I told him, listen, I was an opponent for Golden Gloves to get into Golden Gloves. I fought an SA champion in 2 weight divisions on my 5th fight. You getting this, so make it count.
Thank you, Ryno Liebenberg.
Thanks, Brian.
Obviously, Golden Gloves loves you, and we love to have you back. And we're going to enjoy seeing you in the corner and as a manager and a trainer. I think eventually you'll gravitate to a manager.
I think so as
and
well.
leave the youngsters to be the trainers because you've done so much time in the gym. Kind of like I've gravitated to manager. I prefer that role because you and I've spent, how long were you a fighter for?
20 years.
20 years. I was, I think, 25 years. So we've spent a lot of time grinding in the gym.
You don't want to train anymore.
You don't want to be in the gym every day. So like you said, a trainer is a hard job.
Yeah.
But thank you for being our guest, Ryno Liebenberg. You're actually the best guest to talk to.
Thank
the
you.
way you explain fights, you're entertaining outside the ring like you were inside the ring.
Thank you very much.
So thank you very much from me, Brian Mitchell. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Power.
Yes, see, that's always our best interview on Ryno, eh?